name is Kiran Akmal. I'm a fourth year medical student from Brighton and Sussex Medical School, and I'm this year's president for the BSMS Surgical Society.
Hi, my name is Mailing Henry. I'm a urology registrar in South Wales, currently working at Morriston Hospital in Swansea. I'm also the urology representative for ASIT.
Hi, my name's Ellie Priestman. I'm a fourth year medical student at Bristol University. I'm also the ASIT Equality and Diversity Ambassadors co-chair, as well as being the vice president at the Bristol Women in Surgery Society.
Hi, I'm Michael Okocha. I'm a general surgery registrar in the Southwest, and I'm the Association of Surgeons in Training Equality and Diversity Officer. I really hope you enjoy this episode of 50 Faces of Surgery. I hope that it leaves you feeling valued, inspired, and most importantly, welcome. Here I am.
Miss Alice Hartley is a urology trainee with a specialist interest in urological oncology. Graduating from King's College London Medical School, Miss Hartley has also gained a Master's in Surgical Sciences, as well as a PhD in Prostate Cancer Molecular Biology from the University of Edinburgh and the University of Newcastle, respectively. Her training has taken her across the north, but most of her time has been spent in the northeast. Outside of her career in urology, Miss Hartley has been a trainee member of the council at the Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh, and more notably chairs the #Let'sRemoveIt campaign to tackle undermining and bullying in surgery. For her work both in and out of the hospital, Miss Hartley was awarded the Hunter Doig Medal by the Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh. So, Miss Hartley, we thank you for coming this evening.
Yet, here you are. I was wondering whether you could take us through your morning routine.
Yeah, at the moment I've got 4 kids, so at the moment I have quite an early start. I've got 17-month-old twins, so I kind of normally wake up about 5:30 and feed the twins, have a shower. The older 2 boys are 6 and 4. They tend to be good at getting themselves out of bed, so I will sort myself out, leave the house about 6:30 to get the bus into Newcastle, and then start. I'm in work between about 7:30 and 7:45. And then at the moment, I'm just doing a general urology job, so I'll either have a clinic or a theatre list in the morning, and same in the afternoon.
Lovely. And would you say that your day is sort of quite varied during the week?
Yeah, there's quite a good mix of theatre and clinic and on call where I am at the moment. So it is quite variable, but that's been quite good, especially as at the moment I'm preparing for my exam for my FRCS. So it's good because it helps kind of keep me on my toes, so I'm not just focused on one area. I have to kind of prepare different things. So for example, tomorrow I'm doing an andrology clinic, and the following day I'm doing a functional clinic. So that means I have to kind of make sure I'm on top of my game for those. So it was good for the exam.
Lovely. It sounds like you're really busy too.
Yeah. At the moment, I mean, juggling work with the kids is hard. I'm not getting much sleep at the moment, but there's always coffee, isn't there? You can sleep when you're there.
And I was wondering, where did you grow up?
I grew up in the southeast, so I grew up in a place called Epsom in Surrey. Went to school there, and then went to university in London at King's College. Was there for 6 years because I intercalated. So I was in the southeast really for the first kind of 25 years of my life, and then I moved up to the northeast. I was a military trainee. I was in the RAF, so I was sponsored through medical school by the Air Force, and that's how I ended up in the northeast, because they sent me to Middlesbrough, which is one of the military base units. And then I ended up leaving because there weren't any surgical jobs at the time in the specialty I wanted. So I did F1, F2 in Middlesbrough, and then went off to do some RAF training, and then left the RAF, but stayed in the northeast because I loved it up here.
That's great. I was going to just sort of hone in on your growing up life. Obviously, it's quite close to Brighton. I was wondering whether you could sort of chat a bit more about sort of your life growing up.
Well, I was one of 4 kids. my dad was a teacher in a boarding school, so we grew up living in a boarding school, which is slightly unusual, but really good fun. And being part of a large family was fun. I loved it, and that's part of the reason I've got a big family now, because I really enjoyed being part of that. I went to school between the age of 6 and 16, and then went to a different school for sixth form. But yeah, no, I did like the Southeast. It was really enjoyed my childhood and growing up, and yeah.
That's great, thank you.
And so, which part of your childhood, what made you decide to do a degree in medicine?
I don't know. It sounds really cheesy, but I used to really like watching ER, and I think that kind of got me interested. And I like people. I like working with people. But again, that's a bit of a cliche, isn't it? That's what everyone says at their medical school interview. I suppose I got interested in it, and then went and did some work experience in my local DGH when I was about 16, and it was different to how I thought it was going to be. It wasn't like ER. Obviously, but I still really enjoyed it, and that kind of made me think, yeah, I do want to do medicine. I wasn't probably the most natural scientist, so I chose science A levels because I wanted to be a doctor. So that was a decision I had to make. I had to work quite hard at my A levels because it didn't come massively naturally. But yeah, so I was lucky enough to get the grades I needed, and then managed to get a place at medical school.
Wonderful. And what was medical school like for you? You said you did an extra year as well. And what did you do that in?
I did that in aerospace physiology. So that was partly because I was involved with the Air Force, and King's. I don't know if they still do, but they certainly had an aerospace research lab, and that was offered as an integrated BSc. So that was really good. I really enjoyed that. I spent a lot of my time during medical school on the air squadron, going off and doing training exercises and things at weekends, which is probably what I shouldn't be saying. I should probably say I was working really hard, but I don't think I did work particularly hard until maybe final year when I pulled it out of the bag. So if anyone's worried about that, you can do it. Well, you certainly could. I hope you still can. But yeah, no, I used to spend weekends, going off in, different parts of the country on training things, and I used to love all that. I swam at university as well. I swam for the University of London, and enjoyed that. I think it's really important to have other outlets. I know they always say that, but it is true, because it does get hard at medical school, doesn't it? It's very full on, and you've got exams all the time, and so yeah.
And you were saying that you spent your first year's training as part of the RAF. What was that like for you?
It wasn't any different in some respects. So you just do foundation program as usual in the NHS. So I think there were 6 military F1s in the hospital I worked in, and we were just integrated as the other F1s were. But I lived on an RAF base, so I'd go to work in the hospital in the daytime. We had to wear uniform, so it was slightly different, but we were doing the same job as all the other F1s that were there. And then in the evening I'd come home and live on the base, and it was quite random, because you have pilots coming in and trying to sleep when you're on nights, and the F3 Tornado jets were taking off in the background was interesting, but good practice for having kids, because I can sleep anywhere now. But yeah, the actual job was exactly the same as any other F1 would have been in that area, and the foundation portfolio and program was the same as well.
Great. And then finally, you mentioned you're in ST6. What was the first week as a registrar like?
I was quite lucky, because I went up to Glasgow for my core training, which was a bit of a calculated gamble, because I got a core training job offered in Newcastle, but it was just general themed, and I got a urology themed one in Glasgow, and I knew I wanted to come back to Newcastle, so I thought I'd get a better experience doing the urology themed one. And it was great, because I was put on the reg rota as a CT1 in Glasgow, which was really scary, and I felt very out of my depth for a lot of that year. But when I actually came to be a reg, I'd kind of done the reg on call, and I had the scary, experience out of the way. So that really helped. I was an ST3 in the Freeman in Newcastle, so that's quite a busy unit. But because I'd had that experience, I think that really helped. I think whenever you jump up a grade, whether it's, you know, SHO to Reg or registered consultant or even F1 to F2, you always feel out of your comfort zone for a bit. So you've got to make that jump at some point. And I was really lucky that I got the opportunity to do that when I almost didn't have the pressure, because if you're still an SHO, no one really expects you to be able to act as if you're a Reg, even if you're on the Reg rota. So that was really useful experience. And if anyone gets the opportunity to do that, I would recommend it, because you would get support at that level. But then when you come to actually do it for real, you've done it before.
Has there been any challenges that you face in your career so far, and what did you do to overcome these?
So one of the things that it's taken me quite a long time. I haven't finished my training yet, as you know, but I got my reg number in 2011, and I did ST3 and ST4 full time, and then I took some time out to do a PhD. But during the PhD, I had 2 of my kids, and then I came back for 6 months afterwards, and then had the twins. So I've had 3 periods of maternity leave, and in total 3 years out for research. So it's taken me a lot longer than, you know, if you just go straight through. And I think that's been quite a challenge, because I'm now 40 and I'm doing exams with kids at home running around, and a lot of my colleagues are consultants and have been for a long time, and seeing people that started training programs a lot longer than, you know, a long time after me, who are now my boss. So that can be hard. But I mean, it's fine. Everyone always says it's a marathon, not a sprint, and we're going to be doctors till we're 68, if not longer. So it doesn't matter if it does take a long time. You know, it's up to you whenever you want. If you want to have kids, don't put it off. Don't let being a surgical trainee, you know, worry you. You can have kids during training. You can have kids after training. You know, I had 2 of my kids doing research. It's possible. Any combination is possible, and I think we're quite well protected now in terms of what we're allowed to take for maternity leave, and the fact you can apply for working less than full time as well. So I work 80%, and that's partly because if I went 60%, it would just take me even longer to finish. I've only gone 80% since I've been back off my 3rd maternity leave. So, but that's partly because I was in research before, so it was a bit easier to juggle timings and things like that. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely doable. It does take longer, but I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't have waited longer, and it just takes a bit of planning and a lot of coffee. I had some quite difficult pregnancies. I was very sick throughout my whole pregnancy with the twins. I was in and out of hospital, and I had to be off for the whole time, and that was hard because you feel guilty. You know, people, if anyone has been sick in the NHS, you know how much you feel like you're letting your colleagues down. But if you physically can't work, you can't work. So you have kind of guilt coupled with the fact you're not very well, and you know it's going to take you even longer to finish. So I found that quite hard. There were also I've had some experiences of bullying, and I'm sure lots of other people have as well, and some of those were related to me being pregnant. So I found that quite tough. But I think I tried, and as you mentioned at the beginning, I've been involved with this anti-bullying campaign, and the episodes happened after I was involved with that, so it kind of made me think I should probably stand up to it, because I couldn't be this ambassador for anti-bullying if I wasn't actually going to challenge it. So that helped, and I did challenge it, and it was successful. You know, it got resolved. So I would encourage people to kind of stand up against it if they do encounter it, because there is a lot more support out there now than there was.
How do you challenge it?
I think it's very difficult. I think I got to the stage where I felt I had nothing to lose. So I actually challenged it on an individual basis. But I think a lot of people may not want to do that, and I completely understand that. I think every situation is different, and if there's someone that's known to be a type that bullies all his or her trainees whenever they come through, or it doesn't have to be a consultant, it could be anyone. You can go collectively, so you can go as a group, because it's much harder to target a group or cause problems for a group than it is for one person. There's a chain of command. You know, if you're a trainee, you can report it to your TPD or first of all your clinical, and then educational supervisor, then your TPD, and then go up the kind of deanery structure. But if you're not a trainee, or it's something that's not related to training, there are people within the hospital as well. So there are definitely kind of pathways on who you can report it to, and every hospital will have a policy, and they should outline who the people are within the trust that you can speak to. But it's having that conversation, isn't it? It's very challenging, and you don't want to single yourself out, and make yourself even more of a target. So it is difficult. I completely understand that. And part of what we've been doing is, with the anti-bullying campaign, is to try and highlight how you can do it, and show people different ways of challenging it. So there are different case studies and bits of information about that on the college anti-bullying website.
Over your career, has there been a moment where you felt challenged, or something happened that changed your trajectory, or you were suddenly inspired? You know, you're in theatre. Has there been that moment for you?
Yeah, when I was a third year medical student, I was really lucky that we had a urology. Well, we had an abdominal block, and I had regular urology teaching as part of that, so once a week. And I don't think many people get that much urology teaching. I think I was just lucky with the unit I was in at the time, and the fact they did it. And I remember going to theatre and being involved with this really stuck pelvic cancer case, and thinking, wow, this is amazing. But I never, ever in a million years thought I wanted to be a surgeon, because I just didn't think I was the type to be a surgeon. I wasn't uber competitive at medical school, and most of the people I knew at medical school who wanted to be surgeons were really on it with, you know, publications and all of that, and I wasn't. I was, you know, off running around fields with the RAF guys. But I really like urology, so I applied for a F1 job with urology in it and got that, and then thought, oh, this is great. So then I thought, well, I'll apply to core training, not really expecting to get it. And I kind of kept doing that, and I kept thinking, well, I'll just get to the next level, and if I don't get it, that's fine. But then I did, and I kind of surprised myself. I know it's probably imposter syndrome or whatever you call it, but, you know, I would just say to people, don't rule it out. If you like something, you've got to do this for the rest of your life. You don't have to be a certain stereotype or personality, and urologists are nice anyway. Maybe that's why I like the teaching.
Yet here you are.
It's been really interesting to hear about everything so far. Thank you. But I wondered if you could go back in time and speak to yourself at a younger age. What would you say to inspire or motivate yourself? I guess you kind of mentioned a little bit just then. Really.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose don't be put off. Don't look too closely around you at what other people are doing, because I think everyone is often quite full of bravado and will tell you all the good stuff. But, you know, at the end of the day, if there is one job and you're all going for it, there's no reason why you can't get that job. You know, it doesn't matter what other people tell you and why they think they should get it over you. I suppose that's why at medical school I just didn't think I would be a surgeon, because I had all these really capable, confident people that were telling me how amazing they were. And I thought, well, I'm not like that. So yeah, I would just not listen too closely to what other people say. And it's, you know, when you go and sit exams, you always find the same people like, oh, I've done no revision, but then they come out with all the answers to and it just stresses you out, doesn't it? So I think, yeah, just keep yourself to yourself, keep your head down, and if you want something, just go for it. And it might involve jumping through lots of different hoops. I think planning ahead is really important. You know, as soon as you get your core training job, think ahead about planning for your reg interview, because you've only got 2 years, and, you know, to get papers and publications and all that kind of stuff takes forever. So just keep planning ahead and looking at the person spec for different interviews and whatever level you're applying for, and making sure you've got bits on your CV that will cover that. yeah, that's probably what I would advise.
Okay, and on a similar theme, have you got any further advice for medical students or aspiring surgeons?
Yeah, I suppose similar to what I've said, you know, if you like something, go for it. Don't feel that your face doesn't fit, because that's often not the way. And you know, we need a diverse workforce. There's no one type that will fit the surgical mold. So if you like it, just go for it. And medical school, I think, you know, it's important to work hard, and I almost wish now I could go back and do year 1 and year 2 again and learn all my physiology properly, because I probably spent too much time not going to lectures. But you know, there's always the opportunity to do that at a later stage. It's tested in exams. You will have to learn it again. So don't take medical school too seriously. You've got to have a bit of fun. It's a long slog. My mum's friends still think it's weird that I'm 40 and I'm still a junior doctor and a trainee, and you know, I've been doing this for 20 years now since I started medical school. But no, I mean, it's a long game, so don't burn out too early, and make sure you're having fun doing different things.